Welcome, dearly beloved champions of destiny. Some pivotal moments are so profound, so transformative, even the celestial spheres can't remain still. Pause and contemplate that for a moment. We're speaking of decisions that ignite a symphony of heavenly approval, stirring the very essence of angelic beings, their wings resonating with a chorus of acclamation like the most thunderous ovation imaginable. This isn't about earthly accolades, fleeting victories, or transient social media triumphs. It's about you. Consider this: within the vast expanse of the unseen world, not every action resonates with equal significance. Many endeavors barely cause a ripple in the cosmic tapestry. But then there are extraordinary instances, rare junctures where a single choice, a solitary step reverberates with such force that it triggers a celestial eruption. That's precisely what you've just accomplished. And the intriguing aspect: from an earthly perspective, it may have appeared modest, understated, even commonplace. Those around you might have questioned its impact, perceiving it as insignificant. But the spiritual domain witnessed the profound truth. You didn't merely execute a move. You reshaped the very trajectory of your future. Your triumph wasn't predicated on audacity, flamboyance, or deceit. Your victory stemmed from a mastery akin to a seasoned chess strategist envisioning the checkmate sequence 12 moves in advance, while your adversary remains fixated on capturing a mere pawn. And indeed, if you harbor curiosity, the angels did rise to their feet in your honor, a spectacle both awe-inspiring and somewhat humorous. Celestial entities renowned for their impeccable composure suddenly galvanized, exclaiming, "Did you witness that remarkable, utterly remarkable?" Prepare yourselves, for as you fully grasp the magnitude of heaven's jubilant response, you'll comprehend that your recent maneuver wasn't simply a win. It was a transcendent display of spiritual prowess. Firstly, you executed a move discernible only to the discerning eye. Your latest decision may not have garnered headlines in the earthly realm, yet it ignited shockwaves throughout the unseen, eluding detection by those lacking spiritual perception. Superficially, it appeared innocuous, a routine step, perhaps even a course of action anticipated by some. However, in actuality, that move was meticulously calculated, purposeful, and deeply strategic. It wasn't born of impulsive reaction or desperation. It emerged from a reservoir of insight inaccessible to most. You perceived an opportunity veiled to others and acted decisively without fanfare. That explains the intensity of heaven's reaction. When something remains veiled to the untrained eye, it possesses an uncanny ability to bypass earthly opposition. The adversary cannot target what they fail to recognize as a threat, and your move was cunningly concealed in plain sight. Those surrounding you may have been preoccupied with trivialities, ego-driven pursuits, or superficial theatrics, oblivious to the profound shift that transpired. Precisely as you intended, you sought neither their endorsement, comprehension, nor applause. Your sole objective was to execute it flawlessly, and you succeeded. This was no action destined for trending status or immediate accolades. Indeed, some may have perceived it as unremarkable, even passive. Yet the angels recognized the weight of what you dismantled. They witnessed the chains dissolving in your wake. They foresaw the ripple effect cascading into your future. They averted a trap through wisdom, not emotional impulse. Executing invisible moves demands a level of maturity attained by few. It's facile to orchestrate grand theatrical displays to assert dominance. It's straightforward to wage battles publicly showcasing courage for all to witness. However, it's an entirely different feat to maneuver with such precision, such calculated restraint that the adversary comprehends their defeat only after the game has concluded. See, that's the realm in which you operated. Hence, the angels didn't merely offer a smile or nod. They stood in reverence. They beheld someone who refused to adhere to conventional norms, someone who moved in such harmonious alignment with divine timing that victory was secured before the battle's shift became apparent. You didn't simply make a move, you made the move, and heaven ensured its recognition. Secondly, you severed a generational chain that would have constrained future generations. Your action transcended merely resolving a personal dilemma. It involved dismantling a legacy of constraints that had plagued your lineage for years, perhaps even generations. Many contend for superficial relief, patching up cracks, concealing issues, and hoping for temporary respite. You delved deeper. You shunned the notion of merely treating symptoms. You relentlessly pursued the underlying cause. Hence, your recent move carried such immense spiritual significance. Generational chains are insidious, masquerading as the way things are. Entrenched thought patterns, recurring cycles of adversity, self-destructive habits, unspoken familial rules upheld without questioning their origins. Breaking these chains isn't merely arduous, it's perilous, confronting a presence that has occupied a comfortable position within your ancestry for decades. Most avoid it altogether, deeming it too messy, too costly. But you resolved to break the cycle. Upon making that move, you didn't simply distance yourself from a toxic pattern. You slammed the door shut with such force that its resurgence is now improbable. Hence the angels' resounding ovation. They celebrated not only your personal victory, but also the liberation bestowed upon all who follow, enabling them to tread a cleaner, more liberated path. The move you executed didn't merely alter your narrative, it rewrote the family saga. Such a breakthrough invariably comes at a considerable cost. You endured misunderstanding, perhaps even ridicule from those you sought to liberate. You resisted immense pressure to abandon the endeavor or accept the status quo. You persisted, recognizing that prolonged tolerance would only allow the insidious cycle to further entrench itself in subsequent generations. It requires extraordinary courage to wage a battle for which you may never receive due credit. Your descendants, nieces, nephews, and generations yet unborn will experience greater serenity because of your actions, even if they remain unaware of your role. Hence the applause emanated from heaven, not from earth. The chains you shattered didn't simply vanish, they disintegrated in a manner precluding their identical reconstruction. Your victory extended far beyond personal gain, encompassing an entire bloodline, an achievement worthy of a standing ovation from the highest echelons of existence. Thirdly, you maneuvered without announcing your intentions. Your silent execution was the key to its efficacy. In a world accustomed to broadcasting every intention before taking the first step, you chose a divergent path. You offered no hints, left no clues, and afforded no opportunity for preemptive countermeasures. You acted discreetly, and by the time your actions became apparent, the task was already accomplished. Such a level of discipline remains elusive to many. Moving without fanfare isn't merely about secrecy for its own sake. It's about safeguarding what's sacred until it's robust enough to withstand scrutiny. Premature exposure can doom a plan more swiftly than any adversary. Each premature disclosure invites doubt, sabotage, and distractions. You grasped this, hence the purity of your maneuver. It materialized fully formed, devoid of external interference. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. You refrained from self-promotion or asserting your significance. You trusted your move to speak for itself when the opportune moment arrived. This impeded your adversary's ability to prepare or obstruct your progress. By the time the results materialized, any attempts to reverse the situation were futile. The game concluded before they even recognized its commencement. Such restraint necessitates more fortitude than most realize. It entails suppressing excitement, refraining from sharing triumphs prematurely. It entails biting your tongue when confronted with skepticism, knowing you possess the means to refute it instantly, yet choosing not to. It entails bearing the burden of your decision alone until the opportune moment to reveal it arrives. This isn't facile, yet it's the reason it succeeded. The angels recognized the wisdom in your timing. They observed not only your action but also its precision. They witnessed your avoidance of traps set in your path stemming from your refusal to disclose your intended course of action. That's why heaven applauded not merely for making a move, but for executing it in a manner that left the adversary without recourse. Fourthly, you staunchly refused to barter your integrity for transient gain. An easy victory beckoned one that would have enhanced your image momentarily and silenced your detractors instantly. It lay within reach. All that was required was a slight compromise, a bending of your values to suit the situation, and you could have claimed a swift triumph. Yet you resisted. You chose the more arduous path. You opted to safeguard your integrity even at a cost. That's uncommon, and that's what reverberated throughout the heavens. Transient victories are seductive, promising immediate relief, accolades, and validation. They whisper, "No one will ever know," or "It's not such a grave matter." In the moment, it may seem pragmatic or strategic. Yet you understood a deeper truth. The instant you relinquish your integrity, you exchange something priceless for something disposable. You knew that once you crossed that line, repeating the transgression becomes easier until the boundary itself blurs beyond recognition. You refused to take that risk. You shunned bribery, flattery, and shortcuts. You refused to cede autonomy over your decisions in exchange for fleeting advantages. You refused to sell your convictions for the comfort of immediate triumph. You were willing to accept a momentary setback to preserve the long-term victory that cannot be taken away. That's what imbued your move with such power. The angels beheld the temptation you faced and witnessed your unwavering retreat, your integrity intact. They saw that you considered not only expediency but also eternity. You proved that your convictions were not for sale, regardless of the allure of the offer. Such choices often cast you as the fool in the short term. People may assume you missed an opportunity or played into your own detriment, but time will unveil the truth. The fleeting gain you rejected would have corrupted you from within. Instead, you retained what mattered most: your soul, your peace, and your unshakable character. Such decisions elicit a standing ovation from heaven, for your victory transcends the ephemeral, resonating for eternity. Fifthly, you chose the battle that targeted the root cause, not merely the symptom. Most pursue what's visible, combating flare-ups, overt pain, and superficial issues that are easily identified and blamed. That's why many victories are short-lived, merely offering temporary respite disguised as solutions. You resisted that trap. You shunned wasting energy on symptoms when you recognized the true adversary lurked deeper. You possessed the patience and courage to target the source, even though the battle would be more challenging, protracted, and uncomfortable. The battle you chose lacked glamour, offering neither quick gratification nor immediate accolades. It often appeared as though you were losing as you bypassed the easy targets that others pursued. Yet you understood better. You comprehended that if the root remained untouched, the problem would resurface stronger, smarter, and more entrenched. Hence, you willingly absorbed the blows, endured the criticism, and persevered through the pain. Your objective wasn't merely temporary relief, it was enduring freedom. Targeting the root necessitates more than courage. It demands clarity. You had to penetrate distractions, manipulation, and even your own longing for immediate comfort. It means being strategic enough to discern when not to expend energy, and disciplined enough to remain resolute when others clamor for a quick fix. Such discipline is avoided by most, as it entails heightened discomfort before improvement. You accepted that discomfort. You understood that temporary suffering was a worthwhile price to pay to eradicate the problem permanently. That decision wasn't solely personal. It was generational. By uprooting the disease, you prevented its further spread into your life, your relationships, and the lives of those who would follow. The angels witnessed all of this. They acknowledged the weight you carried and the wisdom of your aim. They saw that you sought more than mere survival. You aspired to be truly and completely free, because you fought for the cure rather than settling for relief. Heaven's applause wasn't merely for your victory. It was for the permanence of what you secured. Sixthly, you departed without carrying the poison. Walking away is one thing, but walking away untainted is altogether different. Many leave detrimental situations burdened by invisible baggage, resentment, anger, the incessant need to assert their righteousness. They may physically distance themselves, yet remain emotionally tethered to what wounded them. That's how bitterness propagates, and how the poison of the past contaminates the present. You resisted that. You didn't simply depart. You left without carrying the contamination with you. It would have been facile to endlessly replay the offenses, dwelling on the perceived unfairness, sharpening your words for the opportune moment to retaliate. Yet you resisted. You prioritized peace over retribution, healing over harboring grievances. You comprehended that harboring such poison doesn't punish those who inflicted harm. It slowly consumes you. Leaving untainted required relinquishing more than just individuals. It required releasing the narrative in your mind, the yearning for closure on your terms. the fantasy of an apology and acknowledgement of wrongdoing. You accepted the possibility of never receiving such validation and departed regardless. Such strength cannot be feigned. Leaving without bitterness severs the energetic ties that bind you. You no longer react to them, no longer shape your choices based on their actions, no longer allow them to dictate the tone of your life. You didn't simply embark on a new chapter. You did so without carrying the infection of the past. The angels honored that, for leaving untainted signifies a higher form of victory. Anyone can retaliate. Anyone can harbor anger. Yet it takes a rare soul to break free and preserve the purity of their heart. That's when you become truly untouchable. You could have carried the poison and still progressed, but that would have undermined your escape. By refusing to carry it, you denied your past the power to pursue you. Hence, heaven celebrated not simply your departure, but your wholeness. Seventhly, you risked being misunderstood indefinitely. You made a decision knowing full well that many would never perceive its true essence. You knew that regardless of your explanations, regardless of the clarity of your reasons, some would distort, judge, or outright fabricate narratives, yet you proceeded. That exemplifies a rare form of courage, one that values truth above image, the mission above personal reputation. Most base their decisions on perceived optics, weighing not only outcomes but also appearances. They desire not only to be right but also to be seen as right. You relinquished that luxury. You comprehended that at times truth and image are irreconcilable, one destined to yield to the other. You chose truth even if it meant bearing lifelong scars in certain circles. This entailed more than a willingness to be misunderstood. It entailed accepting permanent misinterpretation. You accepted that some would construct their version of events and propagate it as fact, that whispers and rumors might eclipse the reality of what transpired. You allowed the chatter, understanding that your task wasn't to correct every mouth, but to act according to divine principles and your conscience. Prioritizing truth above image exacts a high price. It can sever relationships, limit opportunities, and even compromise safety. It can exile you from familiar settings and cast you as an outsider among former acquaintances. Yet you refuse to allow fear of such loss to govern your actions. You refuse to barter your authenticity for acceptance. The angels witnessed that sacrifice, the quiet isolation of traversing a path where applause is absent, but divine approval endures. They beheld your steadfastness amidst false narratives, trusting that the eternal record would preserve your truth. Some victories manifest immediately, others require time. You embraced the latter, securing an enduring triumph, even if portrayed as the villain in another's narrative. Heaven rose to its feet in recognition of that integrity. Eighthly, your decision lacked the validation of human applause. You executed a move not designed for earthly admiration. It garnered no trending status, possessed no glamour, and inspired no accolades. In fact, you anticipated that the choice would either pass unnoticed or be questioned by those lacking comprehension. Yet you sought no human applause. You sought alignment with righteousness, irrespective of the silence. Most are propelled by external validation, craving affirmation from those around them. While this isn't inherently detrimental, it's perilous when it becomes the driving force. You transcended that. You acted knowing that recognition would elude you. You acted because heaven demanded it. Devoid of an audience, your motives were exposed, revealing whether your actions were driven by righteousness or convenience. You proved your willingness to endure hardship without the comfort of recognition. That spiritual maturity in its purest form, obedience without external validation. This is what resonates within the unseen realm. Heaven values intention, not audience size. The angels saw that you didn't wait for public affirmation. They saw that you were willing to risk invisibility for divine alignment. Such actions liberate you from the constraints of people-pleasing. You transcend trends, opinions, and the superficial lure of validation. Your compass aligns with something higher, something steadier. This move, though subtle on earth, was thunderous in heaven. No standing ovation from people, but one from the celestial realm. And that applause endures longer than earthly acclaim. You didn't act without applause, you acted without needing it. That's the kind of victory that echoes in eternity. Ninthly, you became the answer to an unspoken prayer. Your move extended beyond personal triumph, becoming the solution to prayers unheard and problems unknown. Your impact stretched beyond measure. You became the breakthrough that others sought even if they were strangers. Beneath life's surface, battles rage unseen. People pray for relief, change, and seemingly impossible answers. Your profound move answered those prayers without your knowledge. You shifted energies and shattered strongholds. Your actions rippled through unseen communities. This impact requires pure alignment, not recognition. You didn't seek validation, you simply moved, trusting even when unclear. The result was immense. The angels applauded. They saw how your move untied knots, healed wounds, and freed spirits. Your action unlocked chains for silent souls. This is both a blessing and a responsibility. Your choices affect many. You are healing unseen communities. Heaven's applause is proof that you've become exactly what was needed. Tenthly, you withstood a blow that would have broken others. You stood strong. Your strength held space. Others would have crumbled, but you survived. You endured without losing yourself, bearing burdens that would have destroyed lesser souls. You became a shield. The spiritual realm took note. Every ounce of pain was recorded. You didn't run. So in essence, what we've uncovered is this. Even when it feels like no one's watching, even when your actions seem small or go unnoticed, you have the power to create truly profound change. You have the power to break cycles, heal generations, and move in alignment with a higher purpose. Don't underestimate the impact of your quiet victories, your unseen acts of integrity. They resonate far beyond what you can imagine. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What's a silent victory you've experienced in your own life? What resonated most with you from this message? Leave a comment down below. Let's get the conversation going. And if you found this helpful or inspiring, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future explorations into the unseen forces shaping our lives. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here.